There's a pattern happening in your brain right now that you probably never questioned. Every time you feel that urge, part of your brain isn't asking, should I? It's already decided before you're even aware of it. That's not a willpower problem. That's a circuit. And here's what almost nobody tells you. The exact mechanism pulling you back to that release valve again and again is the same one that could pull you toward focus, energy, and control instead. This isn't about shame. This isn't about morality. This is neuroscience. And understanding it is the only reason you keep failing to change, and the first real reason you might finally be able to. Your brain runs on one question over and over, thousands of times a day. What's the fastest route to relief? It doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your values. It cares about efficiency. And nothing in your daily life offers a faster, cheaper route to relief than that urge. Think about it. No planning, no other person, no risk, no delay, just a few minutes and a guaranteed result. To a brain built on cost-benefit math, that's not a temptation. That's the obvious choice every single time. This isn't a discipline problem. This is a brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. Find the cheapest, most reliable source of relief available and default to it. The issue is that the modern version of that release is faster, more available, and more intensely stimulating than anything your ancestors' brains ever had to resist. You're not weak. You're outmatched by design. And here's the part that makes it worse. It's not just relief you're chasing, it's novelty. Your brain has a built-in bias toward new stimuli, new images, new scenarios, new anticipation. That novelty bias is ancient, meant to help you notice danger and opportunity in the wild. Today, it's being triggered on demand endlessly by content engineered to never run out. You're not fighting an urge. You're fighting an urge that's been amplified by an industry built to keep amplifying it. Here's what's actually happening in your head. Every time you engage that release valve, dopamine spikes. Not from the act itself, but from the anticipation leading up to it. That's the wanting chemical doing its job. The problem is what happens after. With repeated, high-intensity, low-effort stimulation, your brain adapts. It downregulates, your receptors become less sensitive, which means you need more novelty, more frequency, or more intensity to feel the same pull. This is why what used to satisfy you for a day now barely holds your attention for an hour. This is why the urge seems to be getting stronger even as the satisfaction gets weaker. That gap, a lot more urge, less reward, is the signature of tolerance. It's the same pattern seen with any repeated high dopamine behavior. And it doesn't stay contained. When your baseline gets recalibrated to expect that level of stimulation, everything else starts to feel dull by comparison. Conversations, work, ambition, connection with another person. None of it can compete with a reward source engineered for maximum novelty and zero effort. This is why people caught in this loop often report feeling flat, low energy, and strangely disconnected. Not because something is wrong with them, but because their reward system has been trained to expect a stimulus that ordinary life simply can't match. If you watch this video to this point, type this channel name in capital letters naked timeline in the comment. Also hit the subscribe button right now. Otherwise, there's a good chance YouTube won't show you this channel again, and I'd hate for you to miss the next video. But here's the part that changes everything. This circuit is not fixed. It was built by repetition, which means it can be rebuilt by repetition. Your brain doesn't care what wired it. It only cares what you keep reinforcing. Every time you choose the easy release, you strengthen that pathway. Every time you don't, you weaken it and strengthen something else instead. This is the same neuroplasticity that lets an athlete build muscle memory or a musician build instinct. It's not moral, it's mechanical. The question was never whether your brain would change. It's always changing. The only real question is which direction you're pushing it. This is where a structured reset comes in. And it's important to understand why it works, not just that it works, because understanding is what gets people through the hard part. And when you remove the highest intensity, lowest effort source of stimulation, your dopamine receptors don't stay flat. They begin to upregulate. They become more sensitive again. Things that felt boring, reading, a workout, an actual conversation, start registering as genuinely rewarding because your baseline is no longer calibrated against something artificially amplified. You will feel restless at first, maybe irritable, maybe like something is missing. This is not a sign you're broken. This is withdrawal. Your brain adjusting to the absence of a stimulus it had learned to expect. Most people quit in this exact window, right before the recalibration happens, because they mistake the discomfort for failure. It isn't failure, it's the process working. There's a distinction worth holding on to here. Pleasure and satisfaction are not the same currency. Pleasure is instant, external, and effortless, and it fades the moment it's over. Satisfaction is slower, internal, and built through effort, and it compounds. The release valve gives you pleasure with zero satisfaction. That's why the emptiness afterward is so consistent. A reset isn't about eliminating reward. It's about shifting which kind of reward your brain is chasing. So here's what actually works. Practically, first remove the highest friction-free access points. If it's your phone late at night, that's your target. Delete the apps, add a blocker, change your environment so the easy option requires more effort to reach than the alternative. Second, don't just remove, replace. Nature doesn't tolerate a vacuum, and neither does your reward system. If you take away the fast source of stimulation without giving your brain something else to anticipate, you'll white knuckle it until you break. Instead, deliberately schedule something that produces slower reward: exercise, a cold shower, a walk, a conversation, deep work on something that matters to you. These will feel unrewarding for the first few days. That's expected. Your dopamine system is still tuned to the wrong frequency. Stay with it anyway. Third, pick a real time frame, not forever, which is too big to commit to, honestly, but a concrete window. 7 days is enough to feel the shift begin. 14 is where most people report it becoming noticeably easier. This isn't about permanence. It's about giving your brain enough silence to recalibrate. Fourth, design your environment so the urge requires effort and the alternative requires none. Charge your phone outside the bedroom. Keep a book on the nightstand instead. Make the disciplined choice the path of least resistance, because willpower alone will lose to a spike in urge every time. It's not built to win that fight repeatedly. Environment is. Now, some of you are thinking, this sounds like deprivation. Why make life harder than it already is? That's the trap. And it's the exact thinking of a brain still calibrated to the old baseline. From inside the loop, a restraint looks like the harder path. But from the other side of a reset, it flips. Because the loop doesn't actually feel good long term. It feels flat, restless, and vaguely ashamed. Discipline, once your brain recalibrates, feels like clarity, energy, and control. Ask yourself honestly which is actually harder: chasing a hit that leaves you feeling worse an hour later, day after day, or building a baseline where ordinary life feels genuinely engaging again. The path of least resistance today is often the path of most resistance over months and years. This isn't about repression, it's about who's actually driving, you or the urge. So here's what I want you to actually do. Don't just watch this and scroll to the next video. That's the old pattern talking. So pick one thing, the single easiest point of access in your day-to-day environment. Remove it starting today for 7 days, not forever, just 7 days. Notice what happens. Notice when the restlessness peaks. Notice when it starts to fade. Notice what you reach for instead, and whether slowly it starts to feel less like sacrifice and more like relief. Because once you feel your own brain recalibrate, even a little, you won't need convincing anymore. You'll already know what's on the other side. If you watch this video to this point, type this channel name in capital letters Naked Timeline in the comment. Also hit the subscribe button right now. Otherwise, there's a good chance YouTube won't show you this channel again, and I'd hate for you to miss the next video.